Okay, it's at the top of the hour. My name is Todd Ullman. I am the Director of Agent Recruiting and Sales Support at NALP. Today, I'd like to introduce Gabe Edry from National General. Gabe will be talking to us about National General's group plans today. All right, Gabe, go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Todd. So thanks, everyone, for joining. Really, I want to preempt this one with I'd love for it to be interactive as much as possible. I got a short presentation for you guys. Going to keep it sweet to the point, hopefully as easy as possible, but definitely want to hear feedback and what everyone's questions are and all those types of things. Before we start, also, just I don't know if there's any of you on the line that have had the opportunity to talk to or write any business with, but did want to give a thank you to any of the agents that are on that I have. Last year was an awesome year for me personally, for NALP as a whole in group. To give you guys an idea in terms of how this thing is growing, the first year I started working with NALP, we started kind of towards like March, April time. So not a first full year, but we did close to $1 million in premium issued, which was awesome. Last year we closed out over $2.5 million, which is just amazing growth. And I think this year there's no reason why we can't be closer to 5 or 6 million, which would be a huge number, a lot of money paid out, and just a lot of opportunities. So just want to start off, say thank you. Looking forward to a great year, and let's dive into it. So first thing I always dive into on any of my presentations is who is Nat Gen. It's a question that you guys will run into in the group space. We're not Blue Cross United, Aetna, Cigna, Humana, so you're going to hear it. Publicly traded multi-billion-dollar company, A- rated by AM Best. We're going to be coming out at some point this year. I don't know if a lot of you know, but we were acquired by Allstate. That acquisition finalized beginning of January. So going forward, we don't have the branding just yet, but we will be National General and Allstate company, which will help with some of the objections you guys may run across in terms of brand recognition and things like that, because we will be an Allstate company. We are an Allstate company now. Currently, you could start saying that, but it'll be in the branding. And yeah, just letting groups know that we're legit, all those types of things, and hopefully with for you guys as brokers and for me with the Allstate acquisition, we're hoping a lot more money, a lot more stuff pumped into a lot of things to help us write a lot more business, make things easier on you guys, easier on me. Pretty excited about that as a whole. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. What do we do as a carrier that kind of differentiates us? These three things are huge. Flexibility is probably number one. I stress to all the brokers that we work with, if you want to identify what we're trying to accomplish in the group space and what will differentiate you guys coming in with our product as prospecting brokers for the most part, is our flexibility and our expertise are probably the two biggest ones, honestly. So the idea of we're going to spend the time to try to work with the group to try to find a plan that works for them, whether that be cost, whether that be plan design, whether it be a mixture of the two. The idea being we have all the options you could ask for. If you can tee it up and just let us know, hey, what do you want? What are you trying to accomplish? At what price? We're going to try to find something that works for you. And I know that sounds simple and a little bit cheesy, but that's not what's happening in the 2 to 50 space right now. That's not what those groups are seeing. It's definitely not what the fully insured carriers do. They'll send you a list of 4,000 different plan designs and be like, hey, just pick one and good luck. And the brokers are passing that along to the groups and saying, hey, pick one, good luck. So these are real value adds, real differentiators in that space. So what is self-funding is the next thing I like to dive into. So we are a self-funded, or I like to more often say partially self-funded or a level funded product. That's what we are. The two things we're trying to address as a partially self-funded carrier are the two things outlined here. Rising healthcare costs and plan designs not meeting customer needs. So basically, Affordable Care Act came along. These are the two things that got nailed the most. Everyone's premiums went up. That's what grabbed the headlines. Um, that's what, yeah, and the plan designs got narrowed down for a variety of reasons. Um, so those are the two things we're trying to stop. We're trying to save you money, get a plan design that helps you. That's us in a nutshell. That's our value add to our brokers, to our groups, whole nine. Um, so some other things to just bullet point when you're going into these groups and what you're bringing with NatGen. One, predictable monthly payment's a big one. They hear self-funded, they start doing Googling. They're like, are we going to have to pay for claims? Is anything that can happen? Nope. Your premium's your premium. You pay your premium, you get your benefits. That's it. You're not going to have to do any of your plan administration or anything like that. Fully ACA compliance, and savings, flexibility, all that good stuff. So how does it practically work? What's different between us and the fully insured carriers, or the BUCAs, as we would refer to them? So as you see here, traditionally what happens is you pay your premium, it all goes to the insurance company. You have no idea where it goes. With a self-funded program, we're going to show you exactly where all your money is going and give you a chance to get some of it back at the end of the year. So we separate your monthly premium into three different buckets. There's plan administration. That's the boring one. We don't talk about that. There's the claims account. And we're going to illustrate on the slide coming up exactly how it looks on the quote. But the basic idea is part of your monthly premium goes into a claims account for the group. And any claims that are incurred for the group during the plan year are paid out of that claims account first. If we overestimate how much they need in the claims account, meaning there's a surplus at the end of the year, they get 50% of whatever in that claims. They get 50% back of whatever's left in that claims account in the form of a check. And then the other part of it is stop loss insurance. That's what we're doing as National General. We're carrying the stop loss. We're paying all the money. But what that basically says is if they exceed their claims fund up to any amount, National General is footing the bill for any claims that are over and above that. So when we talk about one level monthly premium, that never changes, all that type of stuff, that's what we mean. Is all this stuff's really happening in the back end. It gives you a chance for a refund, but there's never going to be a chance where you pay anything outside of your monthly premium. You pay it, you get your benefits, that's it. So how does it actually look in terms of the numbers on a quote? So if you look at the little circled area at the bottom, that's really what we focus on. So every quote will have these two things on it. If you look at the top piece, that's really the plan benefits. Those are pretty self-explanatory: deductible, out-of-pocket max, co-insurance, co-pays, all that type of stuff. And then every quote will also have that graph at the bottom that shows the three buckets that we're putting the money into and what that exact split is, so the groups can all see it. It's all spelled out. So if you look at the bottom there, you have the total, the $9,324. That's the monthly premium for this group in this example. And then the three bars above it are the three buckets we discussed. That's the split out of the money that they pay us every month. That's where it goes. The claims account is the $42.37. If you multiply that number by 12 for 12 monthly payments, you get the annual aggregate limit, which is that second line from the top, the $50,855 number. And that's the amount of that they have in their claims fund for the year. In this example, if they have less than that 50,000 worth of claims, they get 50% of it back in the form of a check. If they exceed it, like we discussed, that's what the stop loss premium is for. So this is really how it's spelled out practically, so you can put numbers to it and all that type of stuff. But it's definitely a value add. Groups like seeing the transparency, and this is exactly where your money's going. The way I typically explain it to groups when it comes to that is this is where their money is going either way. If you talk about a Blue Cross plan, if you had to guess where your monthly premium is going, you're paying the same $9,000 to Blue Cross. Well, they're taking some of that money to pay your claims. They're taking some of that money as profit or a buffer or as margin or however you want to put it to make sure that they, don't get nailed and they're profitable. And then they're taking some of that money to pay their reps, to pay their brokers, to pay the people that answer the phones and that process the claims and all that type of stuff. Every carrier in the world has these three buckets. That's how we function. The difference is we're going to show you exactly what that is. And on the claims portion specifically, if we're wrong, we're giving you some of that money back because we're not going to be greedy and hog all the profit. That's basically the idea. It's the same as everything else in that sense. Big difference is we're letting you know and giving you a chance to get some of your money back. So some unique features of NatGen. I'm really going to switch to the next slide because this one's better. Target groups. The sweet spot's a little off on this. It's really now we've shifted as the years have gone on. It really used to be the 3 to 24 space. We're trying to move up vertically and be a lot more aggressive in the bigger space also. So right now it's really 5 to 50. Truly, we've always done 2 to 50. 25 plus has been challenging for us in the past, just based on the amount of medical that could be there and other factors as well. We've gotten a lot more aggressive on that side. So we're actually writing a lot more of those groups. So I would say right now sweet spot's really 5 to 50, or really 5 to 300 because we have mid-market now as well. 2 to 50 is underwritten via medical applications. So we have either online or paper applications. The online process is pretty smooth, pretty easy. They basically send a link out to all their employees. They click on the link, they fill out the app, it comes directly back to me here. So all their information is protected. It's totally private. And then I'll send updates to you as the broker as to how many apps we have and all that type of stuff, so you can dictate your follow-up accordingly. Flexible participation, less eligibility, 1099 groups, carve-outs, multiplication. Those are all things that is basically a nice way of saying we're really good at the weird stuff. So in my experience, especially with a lot of the North American agents that I deal with, the groups that come to you most often, or that I've seen come to you guys most often, are kind of the weird ones. They've tried their traditional group broker who's not showing them something like National General, and carriers that can't do the things that we can do, and they're being told, hey, I can't get group coverage. We get a lot of those. Let's talk about them. Give me a call. There's a lot of different things we can do for those groups to help them out that other carriers can't. So even if a group's telling you, hey, I've tried to get group before, it's impossible, well, give us the details. Let's have a call. Let's figure it out. There's a ton of those groups that we write that other carriers won't, and we get a lot of business that way. No industry restrictions is a big one. There's no business that we can't write as long as they can prove that they're a business. Little addendum there, but yeah, I mean, if a lot of carriers won't write non-for-profit, the big one, but we will. Full 1099 groups, we'll write them, and then obviously we can talk about specifics and what goes along with that. But like I said, really good with all the weird stuff. You don't have to do the weird stuff. We're really good on regular groups also, and we're going to show them a lot of savings and a lot of value. But just so you guys know, it's a lot of the opportunity that you're going to get, at least at the beginning, if you're not marketing group or doing group as your thing. I know you've probably heard a lot of these things. So we can definitely help you out there. And then one of the questions I get asked more often also is, what type of industries are you guys good at? So you see some industry verticals there on the right. A lot of them that you see there are based on really two things. The ones we're going to crush on are always the ones that demographically skew younger and more male. Those are just home runs for us. Those are the ones where we're going to be, 50% below what they're paying. You're going to look amazing. The group's going to save a ton of money. Everyone's going to be super happy. All that type of stuff. And then some ones that need carve outs, have 1099 employees, all that type of stuff. But that being said, your run-of-the-mill everyday group, especially in certain areas of the country, we're just going to be good on everything. And then it's a matter of qualifying the medical, which we'll get into in a second and stuff like that. But we're pretty much going to be competitive across the board in most areas of the country. Turnaround time, so you can kind of be brought through what is the sales cycle with NatGen. We try to provide quotes within 24 hours. I've been a little bit slow on it through December, early January, because it's the busiest time of year for us. But typically throughout the year, 24 hours, and if you don't get it, just call and make sure I'm alive. I'm sure my wife would appreciate it. But yeah, 24 hours is really what we try to stick to. Group wants to complete apps. We get all them in. We'll have firm rates within 2 business days. That's our max. So fourth quarter, we're sticking to that deadline also. Um, Once we get the firm rates back, they get all the employer paperwork that we need, which we have simplified tremendously. Our employer paperwork is really smooth right now, and really easy. Once we get all that stuff in, we'll have it, we'll submit it to the TPA to get built into their system and all that type of stuff. 3 to 5 business days later, they'll be getting a welcome letter with temporary ID cards and all the stuff they need. Um, so all said and done, if a group's really roaring to move, we can go quote to close within a week. Doesn't happen very often, but just so you know, we have that type of flexibility. Um, I got to give it a shout out. Valerie Stevens has done it a couple times. I'll give her a shout out. We've had a couple that we squeezed in the end of the month. We got done in a few days. So we do have that capability if you're in a pinch. But you know, the underlying thing is we're going to be a lot quicker than almost any carrier out there. I think we are quicker than any carrier out there. I'm pretty confident in saying that. So you know, good value add for you guys and for your groups. So I did touch on apps briefly before. We do take medical applications for all of our groups, 2 to 50. I get asked all the time, you know, hey, that sounds scary. How do you present that? How do you sell around that? Well, the two biggest things that we stress to our groups and to our brokers is A, what's considered manageable. The everyday stuff's the everyday stuff. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. Smoker is on there because we get asked about it all the time. We don't even rate for smokers unless there's other conditions there. So if they're a diabetic and high cholesterol and high blood pressure and they smoke, that'll add to the rating. But if they're just a smoker, it's a 0. Or if they're a smoker with a condition that doesn't coexist with that, it's a 0. Anxiety, depression, elemental nerve disorders, all that type of stuff. Those are all very manageable. They're not considered a big deal. I'm never gonna freak out about any of those. The ones that are tough are the big ones. Injectable medications are huge. Hepatitis, HIV, current cancer, all those types of things. Rule of thumb: a group asks you about a drug that you've seen on a commercial, it's probably really expensive. So all those things are the ones that are really the ones that are going to hurt us consistently. But you know, that being said, the way we approach it is don't be afraid to ask. Most of the groups know what's going on. And then use me. Our big differentiator versus any other carrier that underwrites is I have full access to the underwriting guide. So if you give me a group and you're like, hey, these are the conditions, what's it going to do to their rating? I'll let you know. You know, I can give you a dollar for dollar impact to the rates. So, and our goal is to save everyone time if the group is not a good fit. I always throw that in there. A lot of brokers get concerned that, you know, we'll use all this to leverage and to sell and to get you to get apps and whatever, and it's going to come back to bite us. I am not a fan of that. It's not a good experience for our brokers. It's not a good experience for our groups. It makes everyone look bad. I'll be the first one to tell you if the group's a stinker and to punt on it. We'll get the next one. You know, but not looking to waste anyone's time, not making anyone look bad. We've really gotten it down to a way where we can underwrite, set expectations well, meet those expectations, and honestly, most of the time, I'm going to go overestimate the cost, not underestimate the cost. So this way we can hopefully exceed expectations, make you look good, make the group super happy, and make you guys a lot of money. That's what I'm here for. So some other things if groups ask about benefits. So we run across this all the time because groups are like, hey, you know, we say we have thousands of different plan designs and then they'll ask for specifics. We have everything you could ask for. We have big nationwide networks, Aetna ASA, Cigna Open Access Plus are big ones. We have smaller panel versions of both of those. So we have Aetna POS, we have Cigna Local Plus, Cigna PPO. Along with that, we also have PHCS, which is one of the oldest networks around. We have some regional small networks in certain areas like First Health, The Lens, KBA. We have in-network only options for the bigger networks, which is a rarity. Most places that do in-network only options, they're doing an EPO or an HMO or some sort of smaller panel network. We'll do in-network only with broad nationwide networks. Helps save on cost, and it's still an awesome option. On top of that, we also have reference-based pricing, which I'm not going to dive into here. We can do that on another webinar, but it's an amazing option, especially in certain areas. and it really works well. It's basically no network, and it's a really cool program. And then we have some other features. Advocacy is one we threw in here. So we have PHCS with an advocacy team that will basically target high dollar claims and negotiate them before they ever get to the member to make sure the group's not paying too much, the member's not paying too much. We're very into those type of programs, and we have a few different versions of that, which you can ask me about as well. But that's definitely a huge value add to the group because most brokers are not talking to them about that type of stuff, controlling their costs on a more practical level of making sure you don't get high claims things, things like that. It's a little more in the weeds. That could be a separate webinar if you guys are interested. But just a lot of cool features, a lot of different stuff. If they ask, hey, could you do XYZ? The answer is 99% of the time yes, unless they're asking for an HMO. We don't do HMOs. I get asked that all the time. No HMOs. All of our stuff is PPOs or reference-based pricing. But we probably have an option for you. So that's all I got. I'll open it up for questions. Hope I didn't fast talk too much, and thank you guys.
No, and just to let everybody know, this is a fantastic opportunity to get into group business. Gabe is awesome, and his team is awesome at National General, and they will do everything possible to help you out. So if you're interested in getting into the group business, now is the time. All right, Gabe, let's knock out some of these questions. Are there any HSA plans?
Yes, we do HSAs, we do HRAs, we do all that type of stuff. I'm a huge fan of the HSAs, so you'll see it on almost every quote I send out. I'll throw in an HSA option also. But yeah, we do the HSA.
Okay. And what states are the group plans available in?
So we're basically nationwide. Certain states have some restrictions. New York is basically a no-go unless it's over 100. California has some restrictions. Florida has some restrictions. Arkansas has some restrictions. North Carolina has some. Outside of those, we're everywhere, and we can still write in all those states. It's just if you're in one of those, ask, and we can go into specifics. But otherwise, we're everywhere else.
Okay, with this being ACA compliant, are pre-existing conditions covered?
Yes. So I'm super happy that question was asked. So whenever you hear carriers say that something is ACA compliant, we're talking about the coverage. So there were two parts of ACA. There was stuff that affected rate and stuff that affected coverage. The coverage stuff is the stuff that got the headline. So pre-existing conditions being covered, maternity being covered, preventative covered at 100%, all those types of things. That's ACA compliance. That's what we are. We just, because we're partially self-funded, don't have to comply with all of the rate stuff that ACA did, which is why our rates are so much cheaper, that coupled with underwriting. So yeah, we're not going to have ACA rates, which is perfect because those are not good. But we have all the ACA coverage, and that's what ACA compliance really means, is that all the coverage guidelines are met.
Got it. Now this next one, it says, I see it says no industry restrictions. Do you cover U.S. recording artists who travel around the world?
Yeah, as long as they can prove their business. So any international travel isn't covered by any major medical plan. We do have some travelers insurance that they could get. But yeah, as long as they can show their business. I think one of the NALP agents actually brought me a quote for Carrot Top. So I've run across them before. We've tried it. So yeah, we definitely can, as long as they can show that they're a business.
All right. And can NatGen write churches?
Yes, we do write churches. We're pretty good with them. We actually have some brokers to target those specifically. I would say if you have an opportunity there, contact me for specifics. We can kind of talk about it because they're kind of their own thing in terms of what they need. But yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the minimum participation requirements?
Yeah. So glad that's asked. We're super flexible with participation. The basic guidelines are either 50% of full-time eligible employees, or 75% after valid waivers. So a valid waiver means that they're waiving because they have other coverage, not just because they don't want it. So what that looks like practically is, let's say you had a group of 20 employees. So if we have 10 enrolling, no questions asked, groups in participation done. If they had 3 enrolling, but everyone else has a valid waiver, that's considered 100% participation because that's 75% plus after valid waivers. So that's the short version. That being said, we also can do things like class carve-out, 1099 eligibility helps us. We have a lot of different solutions if they don't fall within those 2 things. But those 2 things off the bat typically help 90% of groups, and anything else, call me, we'll figure something out.
Okay, and the last question, can you have dual options on a plan?
Yes, we can. I'm glad that came up also. So depending on the group size, depends how many options we can quote. On a base quote, before we underwrite it, from me, typically you'll see everything quoted as a single option. The reason for this is twofold. Number one is any dual, triple, quadruple option, whatever, comes with a slight rate up. It's not prohibitive. It's going to be somewhere between 2 and 6%. So not a huge difference, but a lot of times that difference can go away after underwriting because a lot of groups get rate reductions, whatever the case may be. Things change, participation changes, all those types of things. So I'm not a huge fan of showing it as a dual option on a base quote. I typically, prefer to wait for after underwriting, but yeah, we have it all available, and we can work through all that. I'll help you out with it, but yes, we can.
Awesome, and I think I got one more question. Okay, let me see. Nope, I think that is it. Okay, everybody out there, if you're not contracted with National General Groups, we're going to have somebody reach out to y'all today so we can get y'all contracted so y'all can start selling groups and working with Gabe. And Mr. Gabe, I want to thank you for your time today. It was an awesome presentation. Thank you again.
Okay, thanks a lot, Todd. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and if you have further questions, please contact sales@lifeplansllc.com. This concludes today's webinar. Make it a great day, and please be safe. Take care, y'all.